Righty ho. Did you just watch the main card, by the way?
I watched all of the Fight Pass prelims.
Okay, I haven't seen any of the prelims yet.
Okay, well then, where are we on the main card?
So it started with Maki, Pitolo, and Julian Marquez, Ricky Simone, Brian Kelleher, Kelvin Gastelum, Ian Heinisch, Maycee, Barber, Alexa Grasso, and Kamaru Gilbert. It was a good, mate. It was a sleeper card, even though it was a pay-per-view. It was a sleeper. I didn't get much hype.
No, it didn't get much hype at all. It was a funny one, wasn't it? Like, everyone's still hyping, obviously, about the next 3 title fights on the 6th.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really much going about this. Also, there wasn't just Usman doesn't have much of a big following. Like, he's not a fan favorite. So I guess it just wasn't promoted much.
No, I think exactly. He's not likable, but he's not dislikable enough that you want him to lose and you tune in. He's just like a Floyd Mayweather. I
was about to say it's not Mayweather, is it?
No. Yeah, he's just got an unlikable persona in general. And then in this one, I don't think he painted the picture very well after the fight, where he's kind of just mouthing off. I mean, it's a side you haven't seen where he's just like, oh, fucking pumped. And he just wants to get credit to his name, but it's not where you're respecting him as much. Like, the fight was amazing. Like, he looked incredible. But again, I don't like him. Like, I didn't come out of that going, oh, I like Kamaru now. I just went out going, fuck, he hits hard with a jab.
Yeah, I agree. I did think afterwards, I would be interested to watch him again now. Like, his last few fights, I haven't been very interested. I've more watched for the other person. And again, this time I watched it hoping for Gilbert Burns. But after this fight, I did think, oh, okay, yeah, I would watch him next time now, regardless of who he fights, because his last 2-3 fights, Usman, I have actually enjoyed. I felt like maybe the other 2 were almost sort of flukes because he was fighting another wrestler and then Jorge. But this time it was like, okay, like, he seems to have just changed a bit. He's got a bit more stand up now.
I think he moved with Trevor Whitman, so he's been training with Justin Gaethje, hence the leg kicks and world class coaching now. Trevor Whitman's the best coach in my opinion in MMA. Him and maybe like Faraz Zahabi, and you've got Mark Henry, but I think Trevor Whitman's another level. And then telling him to hide behind the jab was the smartest sentence he's ever said after the first round. And he knocked him down twice in that fight with a jab. And Minnie and I were both watching it, shouting, how? Like, how powerful is he with that? Both as well. Left, and then he switched stances.
He switched stances. So he would throw a left jab, and then he switched into a right jab. But then he's just using his power hand, isn't he? So it's just, it's more like just using it.
It's almost a straight
right
punch.
The load up.
Yeah.
It's just pinging it out like a piston.
Yeah. I think, that's what Rogan said, wasn't it? It's like an absolute piston of a shot.
Yeah. Nice
to hear him back as well.
Oh, hearing Rogan and DC was so much fun. You need to go back and watch the prelims because the 2 of them were having a right laugh, especially over the new camera that was in.
Oh, yeah, it's an amazing new camera. It looked like a video game.
Yeah. I mean, I liked even just the way it was panning. It was obviously on like a gyro or something. It was so smooth. There was a little bit of weird messing around with it. There was a point I noticed where Buffer was all like wavy, where it wasn't quite, I don't know, maybe it's got a load of modes on it or something, and it wasn't quite catching the picture correctly. So and even rewatching it afterwards, you can see he's all fuzzy. But they'll get it down.
Yeah, first event with it. Pretty good though. I enjoyed it anyway. It was a good event. Right, let's talk about a few fights that I didn't see coming, to be fair. Well, where do you want to start with Kamaru properly?
Yeah. Well, why not? We've already started talking about him.
Yeah, let's start with Kamaru because I can see the statistics here from the fight, right? So you had 2 knockdowns for Kamaru. Landed strikes was 93 out of 149. Whereas Gilbert Burns landed 55 out of 124. So they're both active, but Kamaru landed nearly double the amount of shots.
Yeah, his accuracy,
which is not
to land that many.
Yeah. Significant strikes was 83 of. See, I don't like the significant strikes stat. I kind of ignore it because if he's landed 83 significant strikes, how are they something significant? Surely changes the fight. 83 significant strikes out of 93 he landed, so only 10 weren't significant. Apparently,
I think that what they use in the terminology significant, it's got to just be like clean, hasn't it? That's what it's got to be, heavy or clean,
not blocked.
Not blocked. Like maybe it was a heavy punch, but it was blocked, so it counts as significant. Maybe it was a light punch, but it was clean, so it's significant. I don't really know how they're registering those, but
it needs to be changed because a significant strike to me is what was the punch that knocked him down. That's a significant strike.
Yeah, that right hook that Gilbert threw and
in the first
Usman
round
on his hands. Yeah, like he did that 2 or 3 times, and that was so exciting whenever that happened. But you could see he sort of burnt himself out pretty quickly.
Yeah, it did seem like the event almost got to him, didn't it? Because in the second round, his whole body was just red. It was absolutely not exhausted. Obviously, it wasn't exhausted, but
it was the commentary was saying about how maybe he was having an adrenaline dump, and it was like, well, that makes sense because he's been thinking that he needs this life-changing moment, and all of this that he's been working for, and you could see how emotional he was at the end of the fight. So maybe he did have a bit of an adrenaline dump after the first round, and then it just sort of lost his momentum.
Yeah, I think so as well. But Usman, deadly, and he's got to defend it again, but against who?
Well, he asked for Jorge, didn't he?
That's the gimme fight, mate. But he did say they all can get it, which is funny.
Yeah.
But if you look, right, let's just punch it in. We've got the welterweight UFC rankings here. So you got Jorge Masvidal, who he's already beaten. Yes, it was on 6-day notice, but it's still, he's beaten him. Gilbert Burns was the number 1. He's just beaten him. Colby Covington, he's already beaten him. So that leaves Leon Edwards, he beat, but it was nearly 10 fights ago. They were both completely different back then. And Leon since then has gone on an 8-fight win streak and has deserved a call up. And the only reason he hasn't fought in whatever it is, 18, 19 months is because he's been just given low ranked opponents and he's feeling he deserves more, which Dana White has now said that because he took the Khamzat Chimaev fight, which was Khamzat's now ranked 15th. And Khamzat's had to pull out multiple times due to health reasons. I think it is COVID related, but it's still health reasons. That he said that he's not going to give Leon a rank down now. It's going to have to, it only can be up. So he's trying to get him Colby Covington. And he's trying to get Colby into the date in March that Khamzat was meant to be in. So if he can manage that, winner fights Usman. If he can't, I do think Leon should just go straight to Usman because he was meant to go straight to Woodley when the start of the pandemic happened last March when Woodley was champion.
Yeah.
Was he champion at that time? Oh, God. Now I'm thinking, did he just lose the belt?
I know he originally had a fight with Woodley, and had a champion fight. I don't think it happened, and I think they may have set up for another one that also didn't happen.
Maybe he was meant to. Woodley lost his belt,
didn't he?
I think Woodley lost his belt. Leon got the fight with Woodley, the guy that just lost his belt, and then Gilbert Burns got the fight, didn't he? Gilbert Burns tore him apart instead because Leon couldn't make the weight on.
Gilbert was seen as this person that's just moved weight and then is slaying everyone.
That's it, yeah. So personally, I would like to see him fight Leon. Just because it's a bit different.
Yeah.
Or Stephen Thompson if he wins his next fight. Because he hasn't fought Kamaru. That's the only reason why. Kamaru's beaten pretty much everyone in the top 10 other than...
Strange, isn't it? It's strange.
Thompson
Thompson's been there for a long time. And I think that he could never quite figure out how to beat Woodley. So his chance at being champion would be against somebody else. But I don't think Kamaru is an easier fight. I think
Kamaru's
that's
a better
fight.
version, isn't he, of Woodley?
Yeah,
better
I
wrestler.
think that's
Maybe not better striker, but he seems to have a little more power than Woodley.
Yeah.
To sit someone down with a jab, you've got to say they've got more power.
Yeah, but Woodley would have that 0 to 60 rush you from the back of the fence. Like he'd be backed up, and then just push you out with it. Kamaru seems to have a similar amount of power just from standing, just from putting out the jab.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it, really? So yeah, Leon Edwards, I'm going to say.
What's happening with Chiesa?
I don't know yet, to be fair. Either way, he needs to get someone top tier now.
Yeah, because maybe there should be a Thompson-Chiesa fight before, if you were to put...
That would be a good fight.
Colby, Leon, and then Thompson-Chiesa.
Yeah.
And then from that, you've got someone to go up to Burns and then someone to go down. You've got a bit more of like a tournament going on there.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that'd be a good fight, actually. None of them have fought each other. Colby and Leon would be funny because Colby would just be doing his cheesy trash talk and Leon's doing trash talk at the moment, but Leon's not very good at trash talk.
No,
it's just really not him. But he's not getting anywhere being the nice guy.
No.
Ever since I think it was in UFC Liverpool when Jorge knocked out Darren Till, Darren sort of gave it to Leon when Leon was fighting Gunnar Nelson. And then Leon tried to give it back, and it's just like, you're not going to outwit Darren. he's characteristic, like he's charismatic, and he's just going to own you.
Yeah, but Darren has that's the sort of the neck of the woods that he's from, isn't it? Where it's all about banter and everything. It's just
exactly. Whereas Leon's Jamaican born, but he's Birmingham, so it's very depressing voice. It doesn't work, does it? I think he said a statement, now we're going to come to UFC Birmingham, and Darren was like, why the fuck would we go to Birmingham? It's just like, no one wants to go to Birmingham.
I don't know why, but I don't know why they wouldn't. Like, there's a lot of bodybuilding expos and stuff, isn't there? In
Cage Warriors do Birmingham at the NEC.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, you could put it at the NEC.
Massive.
It would definitely make sense.
Yeah, exactly. No, I like that. But
that's got to be for like, if Leon had a title fight, but that's also not going to happen anytime this side of COVID. So,
it would be a fight night as well. It'd have to be a fight night. It's not going to be a pay-per-view. The only pay-per-view they do in Europe is basically Conor in Ireland. Other than that, you wouldn't get one. All the UFC events in the UK are all just fight nights.
I don't know if you've covered this. With regards to Conor, that all of his fights for us that use BT Sport, they've all been extra to watch a Conor fight.
Yes.
What about now? Because he's got more losses in this division than he has wins. He's only got one win in the last 5-6 years against Donald Cerrone. He's got one win.
Oh, and last 3 years, I think. Yeah.
I don't know. I think
it's longer than that because he fought Eddie Alvarez, didn't he, for the double champ?
Yeah, but when was that?
2018, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me just double check that.
So
don't quote me on that.
But it's been years that he hasn't won he's not been on a rampage or anything. Just because he's got a big mouth doesn't mean that he should still be getting these high pay-per-views. Does it mean that we should still be paying extra to watch him when he's close to not even being a main event, to be honest?
Yeah. Oh no, you were right. It's November 2016.
2016, yeah.
Eddie Alvarez. Bloody hell. Bloody hell. And then he came back after Eddie Alvarez to fight Khabib.
Lost.
Which was 2018. That was lost.
Yeah.
That was a good performance on his behalf, though. Coming back, and he was saying he was drinking a lot, all this. Round 4 he lasted to, and he arguably won the third round. Then he beat Donald Cerrone, which we watched together, which was 2020. That was 2 years again. And then it's Dustin Poirier, which he looked good in the first round, and then Dustin had his number. He had an exchange, didn't he? And he pointed at him and went, I got you. I know your timing. I got your timing. And then
Conor's not adapted, is he?
He hasn't got the minutes in the cage, and he knows that.
He's not new era. He brought in a new era, and then it evolved.
Those calf kicks, mate.
Exactly. He's not been up against that. This is his first showing of calf kicks, and he gave up.
Yeah. You gave up or couldn't continue?
He gave up.
There's a lot of people saying he gave up because he's given up before. Nate Diaz, for instance, got rocked shit, go for a takedown.
Yeah, I think sometimes he's like, look how much money I'm worth, and I'm just getting my leg kicked here. It's like, is this really worth? Like, can I be bothered? And I think he's constantly going between this mindset of, yeah, I'm here for the fight, and then like, oh, do I really want to do this? So like, yeah. I don't think he can make his mind up because he's got the money. That's what motivates a lot of fighters to fight, and then it's legacy. But Conor's all mouth at the minute.
Who do you think he would fight next?
Conor.
Who do you think he should fight next? Not Will. You've got Poirier 3
fight or Will
straight
fight.
Away. Nate Diaz 3.
Okay, so I think it will be Poirier because Poirier is now the champ, and that makes sense for money. Like
is
I know
the
that they can.
Khabib not coming back?
Well, he should be. He should be the champ, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should.
So, but also, is that weird? Could you now do a rematch and call it a title fight, or should he fight somebody else and call it a title fight? Like,
could you give Conor McGregor a title fight after he's lost against Poirier?
No, you shouldn't.
And beat Cerrone, lost against.
This is my point.
I only can think of one example where someone had a loss and went into a title fight, and that was Alexander Gustafsson.
I can also
lost to Anthony Rumble Johnson, then fought for a vacant title.
Yoel Romero.
And Yoel, of course, yeah.
Yoel Romero had lost, but
he'd lost 3 out of last 4 as well.
Yeah, and then he's now been dropped.
I think Conor could break. He could get through that barrier just because of the pay-per-view he's worth. What is he like out of the 7 top pay-per-views? He's got 5 of them or 6 of them. I think Ronda's got 1.
I think out of the 10 top, he's got like 8 or 7 of them.
So, I mean, he is such a draw. This is the second. That last fight was Dustin Poirier 2 was the second highest grossing pay-per-view of all time. Like,
that's crazy.
He hasn't fought. That's just what his mouth does. That's nice, Conor.
Yeah.
Not trash talk, because I didn't like him when he was doing all the real mean, being proper nasty and to Khabib.
No, he was fun when it was all who the fuck is that guy, and then it wasn't fun when it was getting into personal things with Khabib.
Calling his wife a towel online and stuff like that. That's a bit too far. I think he lost fans there. But yeah, I think personally he should do Nate, because I don't see him beating Dustin after that. Dustin is underrated.
That's what I think is next.
He'll lose again to Dustin, and then it's like, okay, you've lost another one. Now where'd you go? Are you going to go fight Nate Diaz, the guy that never fights, and is very overrated?
I don't think Nate wants Conor unless he's offered money.
He wants Conor. That's all good. Yeah, that's all he wants.
He doesn't want to fight under 170, does he?
No, I don't think he will. I think Conor will fight 170 again.
Yeah, exactly. But neither of them have been fighting much, so I think that would be an interesting fight.
What would happen if Conor fought Poirier, lost then went to fight Diaz and lost that?
This is what I mean about the draw of Conor. It's like, should they really still be charging on BT to watch Conor when I don't even think he's worth being a main event anymore? And I know that's controversial to say, but
not main event on a pay-per-view, because what does he bring up? But then his personality, he doesn't bring anything that you don't see in skill set. Yeah.
Like we've had some amazing headliners for fight night. Conor's of the same standing as them now. He shouldn't be main event in pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, who would you rather watch in a main event right now? Israel Adesanya or Conor McGregor? I'd rather pay for Izzy.
Izzy, yeah.
I'd rather pay for Izzy. I'd rather watch right now Darren Till, because but that's biasly. That's me being a fan of him. But there's a lot more fighters that aren't necessarily as skillful as Conor I'd rather watch because of their personality as well. Like Conor's it's a bit boring now. You've been doing this for 7 years and it's like still the same. I say this as well, and then as soon as he opens his mouth and he does an interview, I'm like, it's Conor.
You're seduced.
You're just seduced. Because I've been following him since Cage Warriors. So I've been watching him a long time. when John Gooden was the commentator in Cage Warriors before he got picked up by the UFC. And he used to call Connor's fights when he won the double champ back then. You know, Mason Jones has just done it and he got called over to the UFC, lost his fight. But, you know, only one defeated Welshman, by the way. Jack Shaw, still undefeated in the UFC.
Still undefeated. Awesome.
Jack Tank.
Shaw.
Jack Tank, mate.
Jack the Tank Shaw, yeah.
Mate, he's so good. He's so good. But yeah, what about Gilbert Burns then?
What's next for Gilbert?
Wipe those tears up. He's still the number one.
Yeah.
He's still ferocious, mate.
He needs time.
Colby.
He should be taking 3-4 months off right now.
Colby don't fight Leon. I want to see Gilbert Colby. That'd be interesting because Colby's all about ground game. He doesn't hit as hard as Usman.
Yeah, but Gilbert's then jiu-jitsu.
Exactly. Gilbert will happily take him to the ground.
That is the same matchup we thought was going to happen with Kamaru. That's the same type of matchup.
But Colby doesn't hit like Kamaru.
No.
That's the difference. He, you know, the amount of punches he does, it's like, it almost, not pillow fist, it's harsh, but it's that kind of thing of Bisping. It was the overwhelming amount of punches wins.
Yeah, it's volume.
It's volume. That's it. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. That's like my man Holloway. Volume.
Yeah. Exactly that. He never knocked out Brian Ortega, but it's got stopped. Yeah. You know, he never...
He'll touch you enough that your face will turn into just like, looks like you got hives or something.
Yeah, exactly. Calvin Cato didn't knock him out, but it was enough to stop the fight. It's that same thing. It's never one punch knockout.
No, but if anything, it's more dangerous because the amount of impact you're taking to your skull, to your brain.
Would you rather have
25 minutes?
Yeah. Would you rather have 25 minutes with Holloway or 1 minute with Ngannou? Is that it?
Exactly. Yeah, one punch from Ngannou, like him knock you out in a minute, or usually it's about 20 minutes of Holloway. He'll get a TKO in the fourth. Well, you'll probably get punched 600 times in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly that. All right. Getting on to a betting favourite that they were asking why is she the favourite in the fight, Alexa Grasso against Maycee Barber.
Right, yeah.
And they were saying, why is she such a favourite? That's why. Because she just tapped Maycee up.
I think that Maycee, as good as she is still young and she did look amateur. She didn't have polish to her game. What I did like was in the last 2 minutes of the last round that she started to just go a bit wild. But you can also see she's not very accurate. Like, she's wild, but she's just sort of flailing. And then when she lands, it's a good punch, but she might have thrown 6 punches and landed one. And then she also had that really weird distance control. She just couldn't figure out how to.
She opened up doing a lot of air jabs. She hit the air a lot.
Yeah, from way outside the pocket, she'd be jabbing, and then she'd try and lunge in and fully stretch her body and not reach.
Yeah, she's trying to get a feint on Alexa, and she wasn't biting, was she? She was like, nope.
Yeah, so she couldn't figure out her distance, and then she was flailing a bit. But maybe also she was a bit anxious going back in since her last fight, because obviously of that massive injury.
Long
and then lost to is it Moda? What's her name?
Oh, Roxanne Modafferi.
Modafferi, that's it.
Yeah.
I think she only lost that because of her injury, but I think that may have also knocked her confidence going into this one.
No, I think you're right. But Alexa Grasso just... Every time they got into the clinch, Alexa just dealt with her. And then in the third round, Maycee was landing, and then she decided to go for a clinch. And I was like, no, what are you doing? Because all fight, she's been losing that battle. Yeah. And it just kind of, she might have had
better in the clinch and better on the ground.
Surprising, actually, on the ground. Very surprising, because she's not known as a ground fighter, but it shows how she's evolved. Much better.
Getting all sorts in, wasn't she? Which I'm impressed that Barber was getting out of those positions still.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, no, Maycee's fine. As you said, young. She's only had 10 fights. I think. That was her 10th fight.
Yeah.
Like, She's got a lot. She's got years. She's got years.
To almost, to co-main, you could argue, with Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns at the age of 22.
Pretty good. Better than me at 22.
So going down to Gastelum Heinisch.
I was worried for Gastelum coming into this because Heinisch is just
big.
That opponent where like whenever Kelvin should win, he loses.
Yeah.
I had Kelvin beating Darren Till. Darren's first fight at middleweight. I had Kelvin winning that because Kelvin's been there, done that, rocked out Izzy. He knocked out Bisping. I know Bisping was already, compromised going into it, but he still did it. He's quality. And then, Darren just neutralized him completely over 3 rounds, just picked him apart. And then I'm like, okay, he should be whooping Ian Heinisch. He should be. And thank God he did, because this is the fight he would normally just lose. And then he's on another skid. And it's like, where do you go from here? And he'd have been like 16-7 as a record, but now instead he's 17-6. 6 takedowns as well. He took down the wrestler. Yeah,
and I think 4 of them were in the first round.
There you go. I mean, Ian Heinisch came out of the gates, didn't he? Like blitzing takedown on him. And then you just immediately see him just scramble and get on top. And then the jiu-jitsu was just different. You got the wrestling, but Kelvin's better on the ground. Clearly on the ground. I think, and what is he? 10th planet, they said. So he's under Eddie Bravo's encampment. But yeah, it clearly showed. But Ian Heinisch was trying to get that Kimura 3 times and nearly it looked painful, but I don't think he was in much trouble.
Gastelum. No, Gastelum was just holding in there and just, I don't know, gritting his teeth. There was a couple of times where he managed to get round at the right angle and it looked bad, but I don't think Gastelum won to tap. He was just, and he's got a lot of muscle on him, so which is going to help his shoulder, and he's not going to be as vulnerable to a Kimura like that as somebody else would.
No, and at one point as well, Ian Heinisch, didn't he? Reversed. Was it in the second round or third round? And he got his back.
A couple of times.
He got his back, and he got a clear option to get a rear naked. And I was like, if he chokes Gastelum here, that's so impressive. But again, Gastelum just gets out. I was like, okay. But to get into that position, it was quite good. But someone gave, was it 2 judges gave it a 29-28? I didn't see Ian win a round. I was like, where's that come from?
There was some weird scorecards, though.
Always is, isn't there?
Yeah.
Always some weirdos. I don't know who these people are and I get how they get this job. But that's why fan voting might be needed.
So I listened to, is it Mark Smith on Joe Rogan Experience? Have you listened to that?
I haven't listened to the podcast, no, but I love Mark Smith. Referee, yeah.
So so I listened to that, and it was all they were talking about, among other things. They were talking about how he became a referee and the school that they go to and train and everything else. And apparently the people that are also on the judging panel, they also attend this school, and they have this training and everything else. So they should be aware. They should be well informed. But I think it doesn't matter who you put in the judges' seats. At the end of the day, a lot of it is opinion.
And I don't know the angles they actually see. So obviously they don't get monitors, do they? No, they just watch the cage.
So if they're just watching the cage, there's things they can't see. Referee may be standing in front of the way. Different things are happening on the ground that they can't see.
And they're all at different sides of the octagon.
And there's no scoring criteria as to what's better. Do you get more points for getting a Kimura nearly attempted, or do you get more points for getting out of the Kimura that was attempted?
Exactly. It's not clear, is it?
How do you judge? No, it's not clear. So the scorecards, I think, regardless of who you put in the judging, it's never going to be consistent.
So 2 of those judges might have seen Ian Heinisch's attempts at a Kimura better than Gastelum getting out. He's like, at least try to finish the fight twice. They could have seen that and gone, okay, fair play. He can win that round. That's done it for them. They might be massive jiu-jitsu fans. Whereas the other guy's like, ugh, rubbish. Didn't even get him. Therefore, Kelvin wins the round,
Kelvin got out, so it's his point.
Yeah, exactly.
There needs to be some unification and clarification on judging rules.
I agree.
That would make it easier.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get on to Oh man, I was upset about this one. Boom Brian Kelleher, who I love, got absolutely rinsed for 3 rounds by Ricky Simone, or as the Brits would call him, Ricky Simon. Absolutely destroyed. You watched this one?
Was this just before Gastelum Heinisch?
It was. This was the 2 bantamweights. I think they were fighting as well at featherweight. They're actual 135ers, but they were fighting at 145. They're both 135ers, just fighting at their natural weight, essentially.
I can't remember right now.
Did this one skip through?
I didn't only watch it. No, I watched all of it. I was doing some other work at the same time, though.
Basically, Ricky. I'm calling him Ricky Simon, but it's Ricky Simone. Just ran through Kelleher. Just relentless pace for 3 rounds. Didn't slow down. Every time Kelleher got back to his feet from a takedown, Ricky would just be in his face again. No letting up, and just wins a clear unanimous decision. There's no, Brian could never get his offense going because every time he'd try and start, an offensive attack, Ricky's there countering it or just in his face doing something he wants to do, which makes it a real, hard ass effort to try and get your foot in front.
I was just opening up my BT app right now, trying to remind myself as to who it was that was fighting because I didn't have this written down either. I do remember it now, but it's been a while since I've seen either of these guys fight, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it was a good little fight, to be fair.
I actually enjoyed, and so you do need to go back. I actually enjoyed the fights on the prelims more, and the Gutierrez fight in particular. I feel like you should go and watch because I actually really enjoyed that. I
think the only one I watched was Bilal Muhammad and Diego Lima.
Yeah, that was a good fight. Fight.
Oh, you watched who did Chris fight? He fought Andrei Yule.
Yeah, that was good as well.
Yeah, that's what you like.
When it came, have you seen that one?
No, but I know who he was fighting. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the fight where I was thinking of that when we were talking about Conor McGregor and the leg kicks, because Yule took so many leg kicks in that fight, to the point where the Joe and DC were saying he's running on 2 flat tires because he could barely stand, but he still fought to the end of it. And this is my point about how I felt Conor sort of gave up, because he took a few calf kicks and granted they hurt, granted there's going to be blood swelling, he's not used to it, and it's going to make it difficult to stand on. But there's things he could have done to have not just given up, and you see that in Yule. He's clearly losing the entire time that he's being kicked in the legs, but he doesn't bail out. He goes all the way to the end.
I gotcha. No, I'll be watching those later. Got to catch up. It's hard when you got to go to sleep and it's on at midnight to start, just to start with. And it's like, oh, come on. Because the US are like, oh, nice 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And I'm just like, I could only wish.
Yeah, I started at midnight and I went till like 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., which is why perhaps I can't remember all of the fights.
That's the problem with that's the thing. When you make the videos as well, one of the major successful videos I did with dislikes and likes and all sorts, with disagreements and whatever, was the Dan Hardy Herb Dean one, where Dan shouts "Stop the fight" with Jai Herbert in Francisco Trinaldo, and I made that video while the fight was ending. I pulled out the camera, I recorded it, so I released the video. I made a thumbnail while watching other fights. I did all of it while the event was on. But at this point, by the way, I had like 1 subscriber. It was I think it was either my first or second video. Released it in the morning. I woke up and it had nearly 2,000 views. Because it's all about timing. People were like, oh, what was this Dan Hardy thing? And there was only 1 video up at the time, and it was mine. Because I'd literally just released it, like as it was going live. So it's got shitloads of dislikes on it. Because I'm a Dan Hardy fan, obviously, because I'm slagging off Herb. People love. When I saw Herb was doing the Usman fight, literally it's been no nonsense Keith Peterson and Mark Smith all night, and then Herb just does the main event. I literally went, oh no. Like whenever I see Herb now, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a mistake. Like, Herb just makes so many errors these days. He's
think
still good,
for a long,
but he's like,
yeah, I think for a long time he was the best. He was the gold standard. Him and the OG, but
John McCarthy.
Yes, him and John McCarthy were like the best. But these days, I don't know. I think Herb started to go down. When was it? With Robbie Lawler fought Ben Askren. That was a weird one. I think it was around then. He probably had 3 or 4 controversial in the space of 2 years. But it was like, oh,
yeah,
getting a bit difficult now for Herb. But it's not his fault. It just is hard to tell what's happening.
The gold standard for me is Mark Goddard.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say Mark Goddard. And then after
or Mark Smith.
Yeah, I was going to say after listening to the JRE episode, Mark Smith as well.
I need to listen to it then.
I've always seen him, obviously. I recognise him, but I never paid too much attention.
You've seen him live because he used to do the Cage Warriors with Mark Goddard.
See, I wouldn't even remember that.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing, and that's actually what Mark says. He says that the only time you want to hear your name called or remembered is at the beginning of the fight. It's like you don't want to be known, because if you're known as a referee, you've probably done something wrong. I was like, that's a good point. And then when I did listen to Mark Smith on the podcast, and then I started to look at what fights he'd done, I was like, actually, he's really good. I've just never noticed him because he's so good.
Yeah, like I started noticing Chris Tognoni because he's just shit. He's a crap ref. He's got some weird fucking shaved, shiny grey head. And then, like, Jason Herzog's good. I think Jason Herzog's good. Keith Peterson looks like a guy you'd see in a back alley selling weed. He's awful looking. And he's got this really gravelly voice. Or he's taking the weed. He's there smoking crack. Even worse. He's just an odd fella. I mean, he refs fine, but then you got Mike Beltran, the guy with the massive long moustache. He's good.
Yeah, the Viking-looking dude.
He's an animal. He's brilliant. I haven't seen him for a while. Not in the UFC anyway. He might be out of the support bubble maybe thing, like the bubble they do in.
Yeah, not on the island. I think does he also do Bellator though, doesn't he?
He does everything. Yeah, they all kind of do because commissions do it. They don't. UFC don't hire the refs. The commissions do. So
but I think because of COVID, they've sort of they're not sharing referees as much.
I think you're probably right. It's like the same little 5 group. They just do all of it.
That's why Mark Goddard hasn't done much.
Yeah, he did the original Fight Islands, but I don't think he did the next one.
No.
Yeah, because they just stay on the island for 6 weeks, whatever it is. But no, it was good. And finally on the main card was Maki Pitolo, Coconut Bombs.
Oh, yeah.
Fighting Julian Marquez. And Julian Marquez was getting pieced up for 2.5 rounds. And then in the 3rd round, he tried that guillotine about 3 different times. And then in the 4th, gets that rear naked. In the 3rd round. It was 4th minute in the fight anyway. That was it. It was Coconut Bombs versus the Cuban Missile Crisis. I was trying to look up his nickname. The Cuban Missile Crisis. I just think it's like that is the battle of the best names. Yeah, Julian Marquez.
All Pitolo for.
Well, not he wasn't a rear naked. Sorry, he got the rear naked and didn't. It was Anaconda, wasn't it? He went for a Darce choke, basically. Got the Darce choke after losing for however long. Bear in mind, he's a quality fighter, but he's been off for a while with an injury. Like his last fight was in 2018. Marquez, yeah. Now it's against Alessio de Chirico. I don't know how to say his name, but I remember him because he beat Darren Stewart and it upset me. He beat the dentist.
Pitolo fought on Fight Island, right, last year?
Yes. Yeah, Maki Pitolo lost to Darren Stewart.
Talking about him in August.
Yeah, he lost to Darren Stewart, Pitolo. But who did he beat? Charles Bird, that was it. He beat Charles Bird, but he's now on a 3-fight skid. He lost to Darren Stewart. He was the favourite going into that, and Darren submitted him in the 1st round. Then he fought Impa Kasanganai, and got whooped for 3 rounds. And now he was beating Julian Marquez, to be fair, but then he's just lost again. So it's 3 fights in a row he's lost, 4 out of his last 5. So since signing a deal from the Contender Series, he's only won 1 out of the 5 fights, which is
but close fights as well.
But close, but still losing. It's like
it's difficult. It's like
he was 12-4 before when he went on Contender Series, and now he's 13-8.
That's not good, is it?
Do you know what I mean? It's not a dazzling record. I mean, they're not even against top guys. Do you know? They're not against top guys. They're just against
something that interests me. That Paige Van Zandt went over to the bare knuckle fighting championship.
Yeah.
Did you see what she said about how much she was earning at the UFC?
Well, first the statement was, "I can earn more in a normal job. This is like bullshit." Basically, she was saying,
not true.
It's not true. When she said she was earning 40 grand to show and 40 grand to win, I was like, "The reason what?" I was like, "That's insane money." You're moaning about 40,000. What's that in English? That's 30 grand, probably.
Maybe probably about 70 grand for winning instead of 80. Maybe 65.
Imagine earning £30,000 to show up for a fight.
Yeah.
Just to show up. You couldn't earn more than a normal job, unless your normal job is an architect or a building consultant.
That's a normal job's year wage, isn't it? That is the whole year's wage.
Easily, yeah. Before tax. Before tax.
Before tax. But the difference is she's still got to pay for coaches, trainers, everything else. That all comes out of her pocket because fighters are almost freelance.
But you're meant to fight 3 times a year.
Yeah.
So she could be earning 150 to 200 grand a year.
She doubles her packet.
And I think that was the problem, Mrs. Van Zandt. You weren't winning. She's getting her ass handed to her.
She'd win 1, lose 2, win 1, lose 2. It was like a weird yo-yo.
She's not as good as her looks are. That's all it is.
The reason I bring it up anyway is because someone like Pitolo, if you imagine Paige Van Zandt was on 40 to show, 40 to win, someone like Pitolo who's come in, who's probably getting towards, or maybe at the end of his fight contract now, having had 5 fights, how much is he even getting, and what's he going to be able to renegotiate if he even can? He's probably going to get dropped.
10 grand to show?
Yeah, it's
10 grand to win. You're relying when you start in the UFC, you rely on fight bonuses. That's what you rely on.
Finish bonuses and stuff like that.
I think it's in his book as well as his podcast, but it was just a thing. Dan Hardy got $5,000 to fight GSP. Something like title. That. Yeah. For a title. How insane is that? $5,000. It wasn't enough to pay his coaches in the travel over there, but he still, he never fought for money though, and he never moaned about contracts. He just took the fight. But I was like, fuck yeah. So he said he earned more in the first year or 2 of doing analytics than he did in his whole fight career. But
that's also in the day where people were earning more money for their sponsorship than they were for the fight.
Yeah, but that was just for UFC contract. Do you know what I mean? He'd make more from sponsorships.
I think contracts changed when they couldn't do sponsorships. Now they get a bit more money, but
no, they don't. They don't get any more money. Reebok don't do those deals. No, that was the whole controversy behind it. Brendan Schaub said on his that he used to make about 200 grand per fight, but 170 grand of it was from sponsorship.
Yeah.
So he said that you're taking away all that money and not replacing it with anything. Where's the incentive? That's why people move to Bellator or, the Professional Fight League or other organizations, Glory. They went to One, whatever. You can wear sponsors and suddenly get a bit more money. Paige Van Zandt could wear sponsorship on her bare knuckle shorts or whatever. But
wasn't she saying she got $1 million for this bare knuckle fight?
It's like, fuck, she did. I
don't know if she got that one.
No one's paying for bare knuckle pay-per-views. They just go, Google stream, whatever.
Yeah.
No one's, they're not making much money out of there.
I didn't even watch the fight. I just Googled what her face looked like.
I watched it afterwards. Black eye, scar.
Yeah, and some swollen knuckles. That was it.
Yeah, mate, it's not good, mate. She's full of injuries, this girl from MMA, and then she goes into a bare knuckle where the one thing you'll always do is break bone.
Yeah.
What the? She's got a bloody metal plate in her arm. What's she doing punching people bare knuckle? Stupid woman. Like Chris Lieben, he's the kind of guy you want for bare knuckle, not Paige Van Zandt. Paige Van Zandt needs to stop fighting. I don't care if you like fighting. You're not very good at it. Like, I like fighting, but there's a reason I don't fight. Because I'm not very good at it.
For a living.
Exactly, yeah. I could do it on the street and get my ass kicked as well, but like, and I get paid for it, fine. But, mate, if you're not at that level, and you know you're not at that level, you're dropping to this level, and you still lose. Stop. Just like she can make so much money just on Instagram, or go dance or do whatever she was doing. Be a TV personality. She's got 1,000 options, and she's choosing to get punched in the face. I mean, it is what it is, but stupid, dumb decision. Right, that's that event done, covered. But just to finish this one off, so
you said
on Curtis Blaydes, Derrick Lewis this weekend. Tom Aspinall is opening the main card, fighting Andrei fucking Arlovski. Future heavyweight champion of the world, Tom Aspinall. Yes, I've said it.
Andrei Arlovski.
He's fighting Andrei Arlovski. Now, Andrei Arlovski, you could say, he's old, he's done. 42 years old. Ex-champion, all that stuff. Mate, he just beat Philippe Lins and Tanner Boser. And I know you like Tanner Boser.
Yeah, I do.
So he just beat him in November last year. December? Was it December? Let's have a look.
I don't remember when.
It was on the Santos Teixeira card.
So Aspinall's fighting next week on the Blaydes Lewis card.
That's right. Opening the main card, 21st, against UFC ex-champion, heavyweight champion, and legend, with a total number of 49, 51, 51 fights to his name, 30 wins, 19. Yeah, 51 fucking fights.
So this is a good thing, because what I was saying about Aspinall was he's looked great, but I don't think he's been fighting people that are in their prime, or maybe even Arlovski is not prime now. But I'm saying
he's definitely not his prime, but
he's been fighting people that
a fat middleweight and Alan Bodo.
Yeah, like the guy that came back after 5 years after having surgery.
Oh, Jake Collier, the fat middleweight.
And put on 3 different weight classes. It's like, come on, like actually give him someone that's a challenge, because he's knocked the first 2 guys out in the first round. Yeah,
I want to just read you all of his fights. All right. So he started off in MMA versus UK in 2014, right? He just like the first few 6 fights on his record are kind of just like experience that you got to kind of like remove them because he took some time off. So he won his first ever fight in 15 seconds via TKO. His second fight he won in 49 seconds via submission heel hook. His third fight he won in 9 seconds via TKO. His fourth fight he lost in the second round via submission. So that's his 4th fight ever. So he's 3-1. His next win, he wins in 1 minute via TKO. Bear in mind, all his wins now, the longest fight he's ever had is 1 minute and 5 seconds. So he has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights. His whole wins haven't even come up to 5 minutes yet. He's like Ngannou of Bama, basically.
Yeah.
He then loses to Lucas Perobiec via a disqualification. So he won that fight because he was beating the fuck out of him. That was in the second round. Then he went to FCC, won in 1 minute, 16 seconds. Then it started with Cage Warriors. He won in 1 minute, 21 when Sofian Buchachu broke his leg with the Anderson Silva kind of thing.
Are all of his wins first round?
All of them under 2 minutes. Next round, TKO punches against Michael Ben Hamuda, 58 seconds. Jake Collier, UFC debut, 45 seconds. Alan Bodo, first round, 1 minute, 35 seconds. 1 minute, 35 seconds. He doesn't get more than 2 minutes in there before he finishes the fucker. I'm saying he's going to knock Andrei Arlovski out in a minute.
Oh, that'd be good to see.
It'd be insane to see. Andrei Arlovski has been knocked out a lot. And I mean a lot.
Makes him susceptible then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, but he's no joke though, Andrei Arlovski. Like the last fights he's had, Tanner Boser, who's an up and comer. You got Philippe
Lins as well.
He is a beast. You got
He's
Philippe
lost
Lins.
A lot of weight. He's got faster.
Yeah, and he beat him decision, unanimous as well.
Yeah.
His last loss was 3 fights ago. And that was against Jairzinho Rosenstruik. No shame there. He lost in 29 seconds. He beat Ben Rothwell before that. He split decision, lost to Augusto Sakai, who was beating on Alistair Overeem for 2.5 rounds, if you remember. No contest against Walt Harris, Tai Tuivasa, Stefan Struve, Marcin Tybura, Francis Ngannou. He has stepped in there with everyone. Alistair Overeem, Stipe, Frank Mir, Travis Brown, Big Nog. You got Bigfoot Silva, Brendan Schaub, Mike Kyle, Anthony Johnson, Devin Cole, Tim Sylvia. It goes so far back to his fucking debut in the UFC was November 17th, 2000. 2000. How insane is that?
20 years.
He has had, I'm going to count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm going to get this. Oh, 13, 14. He had 14 fights, then he left the UFC for about 10 fights. Then he came back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's got like 30 odd fights in the UFC, mate.
So this fight then, it's not, he's fighting someone that's kind of similar to him, Tom versus Andrei. The difference being that Arlovski has the experience, the cage time that Tom doesn't have.
Tom has no cage time experience.
Exactly.
Effectively.
Tom's total cage time is less than one fight.
He's a white version of Francis Ngannou. Except he combos his striking and he has elite level jiu-jitsu thanks to his dad.
He has the ground game.
Francis has chaos
which
power.
we haven't even seen.
Don't need it, mate.
So this is a good fight for Aspinall. I think it's actually a good matchup and a good test.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely his hardest fight so far.
The only difference is if he beats Arlovski in his third fight, he will never get anyone except a big name now. He's going to be getting the top 10 guys.
Where's Arlovski ranked?
He's not ranked.
No, I was going to say, because he's not top 15.
If he is, it'd be like 15th.
Top 20 or something.
Yeah, he's not a ranked fighter at the moment.
So you think that if Aspinall beats Arlovski, he should go for a ranked opponent?
He'll be getting... he'll be getting ranked opponents after this fight when he wins. I'm going to put like proper money on Aspinall. I think if he's not a heavy favourite, I'd be shocked. Young Frank Mir here is going to wipe him up.
Well, that also depends on, like, the figures are all done on who puts money on who, right? So
the worst Aspinall versus the best Arlovski, I think Aspinall still whoops him in one round. Like,
that's a statement.
Oh, mate, I think he's going to put on a statement. I don't want to go through all the fights on the next week's card, just because they take way too long right now. But there's one more, which is I want your take on it, which is Curtis Blaydes versus Derrick Lewis. Minnie's favourite fighter, the Black Beast.
Derrick Lewis is awesome.
How do you not like him, eh?
You what?
How do you not like him?
How do you not like that man? That man has got, as good a finishes as he does his interviews post-fight.
Hashtag my balls were hot. Yeah.
He's so much fun. Curtis Blaydes, Derrick Lewis. I suppose, just for the love of Lewis, that's who I'm going to be wanting to root for in that fight. That's an interesting one, though. I don't know where to put that, because I think either guy could win that fight. That is quite even for me.
If Derrick can stop a takedown, I think he's got the better strike. I don't, and that's it. I think it's gonna be all Curtis.
Because Derrick's a bit useless otherwise. But
he's so strong. He's so strong. He stands up with a
striking.
Mate, Olynyk had him in like had his head for so long, and he just stood up. He just stood up with a fucking grown man on him.
Who?
Like
Blaydes?
No, Lewis. He just stands up with the guy on him. If you've got him in a choke, he just stands up.
I remember the Lewis Olynyk fight.
Mate, he's a monster. Absolute monster. But he has that one shot. One shot. That's all it takes. And Curtis is going, like, night. I don't know if Curtis has that shot.
As well? I think
he can. It's a heavyweight. Of course he can. Of course he can.
Yeah.
But it's not his game plan normally. Now, he finished Alistair over him on the ground in guard with elbows. But Derrick Lewis doesn't have a glass chin or anything. He can take a shot. And he's freakishly strong.
I don't think I've ever seen Derrick Lewis get knocked out.
No, I haven't seen him get knocked out. But I think I've seen him hurt. But he normally gets finished with a submission.
Well, he was hurt.
Yeah, just hurt. When he gets hit in the stomach. His Popeyes come out his mouth. Yeah. Eating chicken. That's the reason he doesn't like Daniel Cormier, isn't it? 'Cause Daniel Cormier mocks Popeye's chicken.
Oh, I completely lost you and you've just come back. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I heard you the whole time.
Oh, you literally disappeared. The whole of Zoom closed. It said something of an issue and then you vanished.
We've gone.
I did not get what you were saying.
That's right. No, I was saying Derrick Lewis doesn't... I can't remember what I was saying. I think I've only seen him hurt when he gets hit in the stomach or into the body.
Yeah, him v DC, but he didn't even want that fight.
No, and he said that I'm not ready for it, and then they gave him the fight, and he was like, well, "I can't take it
you
down."
got no choice, Lewis. You got to take it.
Yeah, it's a title fight. You got to take it. He was like, "Well, I guess so." It's crazy, wasn't it? With a yawn there. But I'm gonna get your opinion on one more fight as well, which I made my video on. Actually, two more fights. What I've got, yeah. One is Jan Blachowicz v Israel Adesanya.
Oh, I'm so excited for that fight.
Because I've picked Jan Blachowicz. I think he's going to cause an upset.
You're crazy.
You think I'm crazy?
Yes, I think you're crazy. I think the fight IQ of Izzy is something else. And I think that his reads on Jan are going to be what makes him win that fight. It's not going to be. I think he's just more technical than any other fighter in the UFC. I think that he's got more strings to his bow than anybody else, and it doesn't matter who you put him up against. If he's of a similar, he could fight any light heavyweight, in my opinion. When it comes to heavyweights, that's a different game because they start weighing like 260 plus pounds, you know. But when it comes to light heavyweights, I think he could fight any of them because of his fight IQ. Yeah, I think he could fight any of them because of his fight IQ.
What about like Dom Reyes?
Yeah, they're literally anyone.
The size isn't a problem.
No, I don't think so. I think because of his IQ. Like if you go back to the old days of UFC when size wasn't a factor, when you could put a small guy against a big guy, you're literally talking about fight IQs rather than weight classes. And Izzy has got so much experience and just his reads and his feints, all of that stuff combined, I think that he will outfight any fighter in those two divisions. I would even say in the welterweight division as well, but I know he's not going to do welterweight division.
He would be fucking killing himself to get to that weight.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't think he could do heavyweight at all. But I think he's got his number.
You think he's got Jan's number?
Oh yes, yeah.
Is that just discrediting Jan, or is that just showing how good Izzy is?
It's absolutely not discrediting Jan. I think that Jan is an incredible fighter himself. And
so if Jan uses his Polish power, you don't think he can? He knocked out Reyes with pretty much one shot. John Jones could do that across 5 rounds.
I think
one fucking punch sat Reyes on his arse with a bloody nose.
Okay, but let's look at Paulo Costa for a second and look at a fighter
who's a bodybuilder, yeah.
who came up through the ranks, destroying people and
no, he didn't. Else. I disagree. No, he didn't.
Oh, come on.
Nope,
Paulo
Costa he destroyed Johnny Hendricks. That's it. And Uriah Hall.
People out.
Nope.
And then he looked like nothing.
Nope.
Okay.
No, I made videos on that. I think Paulo Costa is so.
I can't even use the argument of Yoel because Yoel's fight with Izzy was.
Yoel won against Costa as well. He got fucking robbed from that. He won that. He lost the decision, but he should have won that fight. And everyone thinks he should have fucking won that fight.
Do you think that Jan Blachowicz has a higher fight IQ than, say, Robert Whittaker?
It's tough. That's tough. Jan Blachowicz is very underrated.
Izzy Robert Whittaker should have been a tough fight, and Izzy made it easy.
The one thing I'm thinking of is that Jan's now the champion. It's really hard.
Why? Because John Jones stepped away?
Well, you don't know. He might have beaten John Jones. Never. That's something we never found out. I don't think. I wouldn't put my money on it, but he could have. Dom Reyes, a lot of people think should have, and then he fucking starches Dom in that quick. Starches him out fucking cold. Like, I think if he hits Izzy cleanly, Kelvin can rock you. I think he will fucking shut your lights out. Plus,
I don't think
Izzy was so good on the ground. He's so good on the ground. Izzy has not shown his ground game against a guy as heavy as Jan, someone that is 240, that cuts to 205. Izzy walks around at 200, cuts to 185. If that, maybe not even 200. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such a size difference.
I know where you're coming from, and I think
it's such a size difference. I don't know if will the power carry over from Israel from middleweight to light heavyweight. It might do. He might be fucking better than ever. If he does, then I'll take my house. But
he's going to be faster. He controls distance better.
Yeah,
better
striking.
He reads better. He counters really well.
Yep.
He's in the matrix. He's a fighter like Blessed Holloway is right now. And their weight class isn't too different for it to be ridiculous. Even if there's going to be like a potential 40-pound difference on weight. It
wouldn't be that much, but it'd probably be a 10-pound difference, I reckon, on weight night.
Yeah. So then that's nothing. He doesn't have anything to worry about. He's tall. He's long. He's got good distance control.
I don't think he's longer than, like, reach wise than Blachowicz.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying that he is tall and he is long.
No, but like all his advantages from middleweight are gone.
Well, yeah, when he's fighting someone like Kelvin Gastelum, who's really short.
He's bigger than Till. He's bigger than Whittaker. He's bigger than Romero. He's bigger than Gastelum. He's not bigger than any of these boys that, Dom Reyes is 6'5". He's and got, like, other than John Jones, I think he's got the longest reach in the UFC. Him and like Gustafsson, you know what I mean? Like,
do you think there's anyone in middleweight or Izzy that he couldn't beat?
Darren would be a weird stylistic matchup. As Robert said, it's a stressful fight for him, but I think Izzy would still beat him. I'm just trying to think if there's anyone. I think it would be a decision though. Like, it'd be a chess match again. Darren makes everything a chess match. It's not gunfire.
One fight I would like to see would be Izzy versus Cannonier.
I think he pieces Cannonier up.
Oh, I do as well.
Bobby beat the fuck out of him,
Cannonier as well. But I don't.
No, I think that's not a problem. No, I think you're right. In middleweight, I think Israel kind of beats everyone. There needs to be almost an Usman wrestler to challenge Israel. That's his thing. You need to grab his legs, stump him on his ass, and see how he can get up. Which might be Blachowicz's plan. He might be working 100% on avoiding striking with this fucker. As that, do you want to strike with Israel Adesanya? Not really. I don't know. It could be a massive upset, or he's either going to get starched himself. Like, Jan's going to get fucked, or he'll starch Izzy.
Is your money on Jan? Is that what you're saying?
I smell an upset. I smell a Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey.
No.
A Luke Rockhold, Michael Bisping.
No. Izzy's head is in the game more than anyone.
He's going to be a champ.
I think so many people Like you look at someone like DC. I think Izzy's more focused than DC ever was, and
DC would have beaten him.
Yeah,
I think DC would have been Israel's kryptonite. Someone would dump him on his fucking head and wrestle the shit out of him. A grinder.
I think Jan is going to underestimate Izzy. I think everyone, like yourself, I think you're underestimating him.
No, I think people underestimate Jan.
No.
Because he's not marketable. Nobody knows. He's the champion and no one knows who he is. But again.
Well, casuals don't.
No, exactly. So no one knows. Hardcore MMA is like the 1%.
Is the majority.
Yeah, exactly. No, okay. So you definitely... I shouldn't have asked you really, because you're an Israel fan.
I'm an Izzy fan. I am.
Yeah. That's fine. Same as I'm a Till fan.
Two guys that I will always back is Izzy and Holloway all the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and Izzy Holloway I became a fan of when he was already the champ, because I became a fan of him after watching Conor McGregor's climb. So I became a fan of Holloway when he was fighting Aldo. So
fair.
That was pretty early. Whereas Izzy, I watched from day one when he came into the UFC and was a fan of him from the beginning. Those two guys, I'm happy to see at the top. I mean, I still think Max should have another fight with Volkanovski at some point. No, it doesn't make sense, but
does make sense because he got robbed in the second fight.
Yeah, I think he got robbed in the second, and he didn't understand.
He won 3 of the rounds, and I think, to pretty much 80% of the population of MMA fans, I think. But personally, I think he won 4. I only give 1 round to Volkanovski. I thought he pretty much beat him up. Didn't finish him, but he won conclusively. How he didn't win that fight, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first fight he was confused. He didn't really understand how much he was getting hit in the legs and how much that was going to...
He lost that fight. Definitely lost that fight.
Yeah, but I think again, this goes to how a fight's being scored. I don't think he realised what was happening. So he thought he'd won it, and then when he found out he lost, he was like, oh. Which he did lose. I just don't think he realised. And then the second fight was robbery.
Robbery.
But yeah, so those are my two guys. I'm always going to back Izzy and Holloway.
All right, let's see you back for this one, because I got some comments on my YouTube video on it, and they disagree with me, which is fine. But actually, surprisingly, I thought it'd be more 50-50. Surprisingly, 90% of people, I reckon, agree with me, which is Stipe versus Francis 2. Who do you think? I'll tell you mine after if you haven't seen the video. If you haven't, what you're doing, click the link.
I wouldn't be surprised if Stipe was the underdog again. He's always the underdog.
He is the underdog. He is the underdog.
Well, there you go. Not surprised.
He is.
But I rate Stipe as well.
As you should.
Yeah. I mean, he's our... I've always liked Stipe as well. I thought that he was going to have a hard time with DC the first fight. And in the second fight, I was very 50-50 about who I wanted to win. But I was so happy that it was Stipe. And to watch Stipe fight Francis the first time, he put Francis on his back and Francis didn't know what to do. But at the same time, Stipe couldn't really get him out of there.
Did no damage to him.
Yeah, so what does that mean?
He came out with more hurt than Francis. Francis had never been past the first round. And he lasted 25 minutes, no problem.
Stipe took Francis' best shot, didn't knock him out.
Did he take his best shot or just clips?
Yeah, he got hit. He got hit,
but
several times.
But it weren't from full power Francis, because Francis was just watching for that takedown.
Francis throws from any angle.
Now he does.
He was before.
Oh, man. I think before Stipe he was scary. Before Stipe he was scary.
Yeah.
But he wasn't terrifying. After Stipe, right? Hang on, I'll read the list. You think
After
Aspinall's
Stipe,
thing
he fought Derrick Lewis. and it sucked.
Yeah, and that was sucked. We watched that together. Oh, mate. That was meant to be the firefight of the century. No, after
they
that
were more
fight.
scared of each other than...
Yeah, exactly. Hang on. I'll just read out the fight time. I know the fights, but it's the fight time I want. Let's get the list. So he lost to Stipe Miocic by decision. Then he lost to Derrick Lewis. But get rid of that fight. So he fought Curtis Blaydes, Cain Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos, and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Curtis Blaydes is, easily one of the best in the heavyweight division. Knocked him out again in 45 seconds. Cain Velasquez, in my opinion, is the greatest heavyweight of all time. He knocked him out in 26 seconds. Junior Dos Santos, ex-champion, always a top 10 contender, still quality fighter, knocked him out in 1 minute, 11 seconds. And then Jairzinho Rozenstruik, the next Francis Ngannou of the division, the guy that just one-punched Alistair Overeem in the final 10 seconds of the round and destroyed his lip in half. He knocked out in 20 seconds. That's terrifying. His last 4 fights combined total time is just over 2 minutes. 4 fights, 2 minutes. That's terrifying. And what he did to Alistair Overeem by sending him into a different dimension.
Yeah, that was before Stipe.
I know, but that's still like... But now, you have to think, can Stipe avoid that one shot again? Can he shove him on his back for 25 minutes and do another grinding fight? Because there's no way he's striking with Francis. There is no fucking way. He's not that stupid. Francis isn't the technical striker he thinks he is. Francis trains technical, I'm sure. But when he comes into the fight, if you watch it against Jairzinho, not one fucking... doesn't throw a fucking jab. He's not hiding or anything. He's literally just swinging, and he's like, his feet are like crisscrossed, and he's fucking just like hammer fisted in midair. But he's got, exactly. He's got kettlebells in his hands.
You're out.
He's got death touch. He has death touch. He's insane. It's more power than I've ever seen in my life. It's literally a truck. Stipe's like a moped compared to him in power, and he's insane power. You see what he did to, Fabricio Verdun for the title. In fact, he could shut DC's light off with a body shot. He just shut him down completely. I think can Francis hit him once? Full power. If he does,
do you think
Stipe will go to sleep?
You just mentioned the body shot. Stipe landing the body shots, the liver shots on DC is essentially what you could argue won him the fight, because it was really slowing down DC, making him gas out. And then sort of change the tide and let Stipe win. Do you think this is why Francis has been taking so many body shots in his spare time? There's so many videos of him getting punched in the stomach by different boxers and everything.
There you go. It's just
getting ready for that liver shot.
Is there any other way to beat Francis than to grab him and put him on his ass? Don't think so.
You've got to take his weapon away for sure. But can Francis hit you from the bottom and still serve that amount of damage?
Has he learned to wrestle? Has he learned to defend a takedown?
Yeah. Like, is he going to be able to do... And he's definitely not going to be able to defend a takedown. That's not going to happen because...
He might have been working on it, but I don't see him defending Stipe's. No, Stipe's a great wrestler.
Also, Stipe isn't someone that is looking for a takedown on anybody else. He only really would do that against Francis.
Can Stipe do it again, though? Because the comment that begrudges Mike's statement, I don't think he can. I think Francis is going to end him quickly. I really do. I think Francis is going to...
When is this fight happening?
March, I think. Let me just check. Stipe versus Ngannou 2. March 27th. Just over a month. Oh, 6 weeks.
Good. That's not far.
No. I think personally that Francis is going to land one haymaker and shut his lights off. I don't know if there's another way to beat Francis other than to rip, like the first way Stipe did, which is amazing. But I don't see him doing that again. Whereas the comments that begrudge that, and the reason that video gets disliked, because obviously it's an opinionated video. All the channel is about opinions. So there's going to be a lot of dislikes, likes, which is fine. But a lot of people, this guy has personally said, and it's like touched me a little bit. He was like, do you really think Stipe's stupid enough to do exactly the same thing again? He'll do a different approach. And I'm like, well, tell me what this genius approach is. What other fucking approach is this? What, is he going to jab his head off and fucking right hook him? No way. You jab Francis, he'll eat your hand. He'll just catch it and fucking smack you with his arm. Not even his hand. He'll just hit you with the fucking wrist. You're out cold.
It would be smart for Stipe's game plan to be the same. To slow Francis down, take him down, tire him out, and then work the body to try and exhaust him. Because if you exhaust him, the power is going to be taken out of his punches, and it's going to be easier to survive.
Absolutely. Maybe a calf kick.
That's what Stipe's plan needs to be. Yeah, all that, or like take out his legs. He's not going to knock him out. Stipe doesn't really knock people out.
Not anymore. But then again, his last 3 fights have been against DC. You know, he hasn't fought anyone other than a 5'10" fat man for the last 3 fights. So,
but he is the greatest heavyweight of all time.
No, he's not.
He is. Not going back to your juiced up days of your old heroes.
Cain Velasquez was not juiced up. There's a reason Daniel Cormier went to light heavyweight, because he didn't want to fight his teammate Cain, because Cain's the fucking man. Cain used to do before. He's just injury plagued, ruined him. Cain to me is just the greatest heavyweight. But other than that, it's Stipe. Has to be Stipe.
Record is Stipe, though, isn't it? He's got the.
Yeah, statistically, Stipe hands down. You can't argue with statistics,
but
just of what I've seen a heavyweight do, the best heavyweight fighter I've ever seen in my life is Cain Velasquez. Unreal. Cain back in the day, mate. Unreal. What he did for Brock Lesnar. I know it's Brock, but fuck me, just scary. He got obviously guillotined by Fabricio Verdum in the end, but who hasn't been choked by Fabricio Verdum? Everyone's been done by him. Fabricio is unbelievable. But yeah, okay. Well, you can add a comment to that video as well then. Going, no, wrong. You disagreed.
You're wrong.
So who are you picking for that one then? Are you picking Stipe or are you picking Ngannou?
I'm going to pick Stipe.
You're going to pick, so you're going against me in both?
Yeah.
I like
I'm
it.
picking Stipe and Izzy.
Stipe and Izzy. All right.
Yeah. I would love to see, regardless, I think I would actually really enjoy seeing Jon Jones fight Ngannou. I would really enjoy seeing that fight. I think Jon Jones would beat Stipe if Jon Jones brings his A game, because I feel like the last 2-3 years, or however long it's been since Jones has been back in, he's been half-assing it. And maybe that's because he's just not, thrilled with the competition that he's been given, which is why he's moving up. I don't know. But
what's the motivation anymore? Just to defend the light heavyweight belt? Or?
Yeah, so I want to see him go full into it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have a chance. But I think Jones, if he really goes for it, could be either Stipe or Ngannou. But it would be a more challenging fight to fight Ngannou. Oh, that would be a more challenging fight.
Ngannou
for him. Yeah.
Yeah, they've gone back and forth
on
social media.
I'm not mad if Ngannou wins, because it means we get to see that fight.
If Stipe beats Ngannou again, I will agree he's the greatest.
Really, is that what it will take?
That's what it will take. Beat this fucking monster. Yeah. Yeah. If he finishes Ngannou, mate, best fighter ever.
Wasn't DC in the conversation for GOAT at one point?
I can't put him as the GOAT when you've been
lost to
Jon Jones twice, though.
He was in the conversation. And
he'd be in the conversation, but he wouldn't win it just because of the Jon fights. You instantly put Jon over him. But if you're doing my category of you can't put people that are pot for drugs in it, then DC over Jon. Well, that actually I took offence today when I watched the fight of Usman, and they said, and John Anik, I think he did. I don't know if he believes all the stuff he has to read, whether he gets given it or whether he makes the note. But he said one of the greatest or if not the greatest welterweight of all time, Kamaru Usman. And I'm standing there going, what? Because it's like, he surpassed George St. Pierre's record of 13 wins in a row now.
GSP's and record includes how many title fights?
Yeah, I was like, you are out of your fucking mind comparing Usman to George St. Pierre. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, okay, in a row. 12 defenses, mate.
Yeah.
12.
I think
12 title wins.
I think it should go on title defenses because that means the caliber of fighter that you've been going against. Yeah.
12.
Because you could get a 15-fight win streak going from the bottom to the top, which means that you've passed people that aren't championship quality. Yep. But when you're at the top like GSP and you fight and you get that many title defenses, you are fighting the best of the best.
Yeah.
That is Mortal Kombat.
3 of George's fights were against the second best welterweight of all time, Matt Hughes. He won 2 of them.
Well,
thank you.
What was it, his first one?
Lost his first one. Got armbarred.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then redemption to win 2 after that.
Yeah, 1 by knockout, 1 by armbar himself. Got knocked out by Matt Serra, came back, destroyed Matt Serra. Knees to the body. I remember them all. UFC 79 Nemesis. Main event, co-main event, Chuck Liddell, Wanderlei Silva.
You're just like what's the word I'm looking for? You're like a wiki of fights. I could just ask you about what was this, and you'd give me the date, the event.
Not all of them, but some of them.
No, but you're pretty good.
I'm pretty good. I actually know all the old events better than I know modern events. There's what was it? When I was with Owen Oxley talking about Dan's fight career, I can just name the fight I started watching Dan on was Sammy Derrick, which was on Cage Warriors, right? I think it was obviously years ago, like 2005 or 6, something like that, right? And then since then, I believe I can name pretty much all of his fights in a row, like of who he fought. Like when he did Enter the Rough House and then Enter the Rough House 2 and like Eastern Bound, Cage Forces, all that sort of thing. I can name every single fighter that he fought in a row and keep the record going because obviously I'm a fanboy.
I can't do that for anyone.
No. But no, you should be able to do it. Like if I told you name all of McGregor's fights in the UFC in a row, you probably could do that, right?
I probably do about half of them.
Only could do half of them?
Honestly, yeah, like his first 7 fights probably really confused me.
Really?
Yeah, I could probably work my way backwards to Aldo.
Work your way back from the newest to the oldest, rather than the oldest to the newest.
Yeah, and then from Aldo going backwards. Because I started watching UFC in 2014, so I don't have...
So you didn't watch his debut?
No, so I don't have that.
His debut was... All right, his debut was against Marcus Brimage.
Was Holloway. Oh, okay.
That was his second fight. Where his knee was compromised. He still beat him.
But he still beat him.
Yeah. Marcus Brimage was his first fight. He starched Marcus Brimage.
Because I've watched all of them. But
that's 60 G's baby. Is Marcus Brimage.
Oh, okay.
There's Max Holloway, Diego Brandao, Poirier, Dennis Seaver. Then it was meant to be Aldo. He pulled out, and it was Chad Mendes. Then it was Aldo. Then it was meant to be Rafael dos Anjos. No, it meant to be Rafael dos Anjos. He pulled out. Then it's Diaz. Yeah. Then it's Diaz again.
Then Alvarez.
Then Alvarez. Then Khabib, Cerrone, Poirier.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all his fights.
See, I even go
off the dome, mate. I should probably I've probably checked that because I've probably got it wrong. Someone in the comments would be like, excuse me. No, figure 5. Poirier was before. Yeah. Nice. Easy. You have to learn Max Holloway's now and Izzy's. Bet you can't do Izzy's.
No, I've watched them all.
When he fought Marvin Vettori.
Still don't know.
I don't know either.
The thing is that there's too many good fighters to watch. Like, yes, I've got favourites. But when I've got time and I'm really into it, I watch every event and I watch every fight. I watch all the prelims and all the fight pass prelims, and because there's so much going on, it's like really difficult to keep up and remember everything. And you'll say something like, "Oh, about their last fight," but I don't even remember that. And you'll be like, "It was 3 months ago," but was it